Hi, it's Pete Thorne. Welcome to my studio. I'm here today to talk to you about using Celestion impulse responses with Bias Amp software from Positive Grid. So Bias Amp is a software program. You can either use it as a standalone program or you can use it as a plugin within your digital audio workstation. That's the way I'm going to use it today within Logic. So I've got Logic loaded up here on channel 1. I've got an instance of Bias Amp loaded up. I'm just plugging my guitar right into my UA interface into channel 1 here. And yeah, we're going to be listening to the plugin that way. So when it comes to electric guitar tone, I believe that there's three big main components. There's the guitar you choose to play, there's the amplifier that you choose to plug it into, and then there's also speaker cabs, and maybe you're micing up that speaker cab with a microphone. We're going to include those in one thing. So guitars, amps, cabinets with a microphone on it. Those are the three big sort of main tone food groups. By switching out any one of those, you can really change up the sound a lot. So when we're talking about speaker cabinets, I mean, bearing this in mind, the cabinet is the overall huge final filter on your guitar sound. You can take a guitar tone that maybe you find to be just okay or somewhat mediocre, or maybe not even that great at all, and you can turn it and transform it into something that you might really like by simply switching out the speaker cabinet and maybe the mics that you're using on the cabinet. So that holds true for cabinets in the real world with traditional guitar amp rigs, but also when we're working with software like Bias Amp, simply by switching out the speaker cabinet or impulse response that you choose to use for speaker sound, you can really transform the tone. Okay, so I've got my Surf Signature guitar here. I got it plugged into input 1 of my Apollo interface, the high Z input. I got Logic running, and up on channel 1 within Logic, I've loaded up an instance of Bias Amp. Now, I thought I would use an amp that I'm familiar with in the real world, so I loaded up the British 50 watt Plexi preset. It's within the Crunch amps selection. So I've got it loaded up here, and I'll just right out of the gate here, let me see, the knobs are all on 6 on the amplifier, except for the mids are on 4. And I think it's set up for kind of a crunch sound. If I go to the cabinet parameter now, I'm going to click on that. What pops up is, let's see, a 412 with greenbacks in it and an SM57 on it. So this is the way that their preset sounds. Just I haven't changed a single thing. This is the way it loads up and sounds. Okay, kind of just a crunchy British amp sound. Now, that I can hear the basic, sort of Plexi and British amp character there, but I'm not overall that happy with that tone yet, the way that it comes up. So a lot of people might reach for the knobs on the amplifier model and kind of start trying to tweak those to get where they want to go. I'm going to go at it a different way. What I want to do is load a Celestion impulse response, because I know that that's the overall final filter on the whole sound. So I want something that I'm familiar and comfortable with, cabinet-wise and microphone-wise. And so if I load one of my favorite Celestion IRs, let's see what it does to the tone here. I simply go to the cab parameter here. There's a little drop-down menu. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to get two choices here when I click on that. It says cabinet and IR loader. The cabinet choices, those are the internal Bias Amp choices that they give you, kind of their included cab and microphone models. I'm going to pick IR loader, okay? And that's going to pull up a different window here. Then I'm going to go to the load button over here. It's on the left side of the IR loader. Tap on that, and it's going to pull open a little file menu here, and I'm going to select out of my Celestion impulse response file a greenback loaded 412, very similar sound to what was loaded up in the stock cabinet in the 50 watt Plexi preset. I'm going to pick a 412 greenback. This is going to be the Celestion all mic mix. So this is a mix of a 57, a 421, and a Royer R121 all on one speaker, and it's also got room mics mixed in. Okay, so it's the all plus stereo room mics mic mix. And if I just play now with that loaded up, okay, that to me I'm much more comfortable with. I'm instantly hearing a sound that I'm familiar with, and I can work with that. So what I'm going to do now is go back to Bias Amp, to the 50 watt Plexi, and I'm going to tweak the knobs a bit. Let's go for real Hotrod Tone. I'm just going to dime the gain, I'm going to dime the master, I'm going to bring the presence up a little bit to around 8, but I'm going to back the treble down and try and warm up the tone a little bit by bringing it down to 4. I'll bring the mids up about 3/4 of the way, and I'm going to run the bass down just a little bit on about 5. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, now we've really gotten somewhere. As soon as I loaded up the Celestion IR, it was a sound that I was instantly familiar with. I felt like it was way more in the ballpark. I can go through and now, add a graphic EQ or something, tweak things more if I want to. But basically, that's a tone that I'm really familiar with. It's all there. Okay, so let's try the same thing with a different amplifier sound now. I've gone into the Glassy Amps folder and loaded up the 66 British TB30. This is another amplifier that I'm kind of familiar with the sound of. This is obviously going to be that kind of, AC30 style thing. So this is the sound that the preset loads up with. Okay, so that's the tone. Now what I'm going to do is go in and switch out the cabinet as I did with the last one. I go to the cabinet parameter and I'm going to pick IR loader. And I'm going to go over here to the load button on the bottom left of the plugin. Hit that. It's going to take me to my file menu. And once again, I'm going to pick the high gain all plus room. And the cabinet choice that I'm picking for this is the Celestion Open Back 212 with blues. The high gain works really well for me for most purposes. So high gain all 212 open back with blues with the stereo rooms. Okay, and here's the tone now. Okay, so it's still quite bright for me, so I'm going to go in now and switch up the sound a little bit. I'm going to crank up the master about 3/4 of the way up, turn up the gain a bit, let me back the presence down a hair, and maybe also the treble as well. We'll try and warm it up a little bit here. Okay, that sounds really good to me now. I'm happy with that. Thanks for watching my video on using Celestion impulse responses with Bias Amp software from Positive Grid. I hope I was able to show that you can really quickly, easily, and radically alter the sound of some of the Bias Amp presets by simply loading up a different Celestion impulse response for a cabinet model. The Bias Amp software is extremely easy to use. The IR loader couldn't be easier. So yeah, if you pick up some of these Celestion IRs and load them up in your presets, sky's the limit. Who knows what you can do? I bet you'll be happy with the results. All right, I'm Pete Thorne. Take care. See ya.